What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today, I'm gonna talk briefly about the Jordan Nelly situation. I like to usually stay away from these topics because it's just repetitive trauma. All right, but I'm gonna talk about it. I want to talk about it because now what's gonna happen is a lot of people are gonna pretend like they cared about Jordan Nelly, right? A lot of Democrats, a lot of liberals, a lot of people who are black power and social justice for pay, a lot of them are going to pretend like they cared about Jordan Nelly. A lot of New Yorkers are going to pretend like they cared about Jordan Nelly. A lot of people are going to come out and say, oh, I used to see him every day and I cared about him. A lot of people are going to pretend like they cared about that guy. But they didn't care about him when he was alive. They didn't care about him when he was out on the street having to dance and for money. They didn't care about him when he was on the streets. They didn't care about him when they saw him probably at night sleeping on the train when he wasn't dancing. They didn't care about him. I'm sure that wasn't the first time he came on the train talking about he was hungry. The system didn't care about him. The system just walked right past him. The system threw a couple bucks in his cup when he did a dance that pleased him, when he buck danced for the middle class and the people who just got just enough money to not be in his very same situation. Nobody cares about him when he was alive. Nobody cared enough to protect those people that's out here on the street, to create a system where those people out here on the street don't have to be out on the streets. Why was that 30-year-old man hungry in the first place? Clearly he was able-bodied, all right? But clearly he has some real issues, all right? As lovable as people say that he was. Nobody cared about him. Nobody cared about him at all. Now everybody's going to pretend like they care about him. Everybody's going to try to equate this to George Floyd. Everybody's going to attach this to more black trauma and try to use this to go against their political opposition. That's what they're going to do, right? They're going to find the best pictures, the most homely, the most loving pictures, and they're going to sit there and act like they're so enraged about how these white men killed him. Now let me tell you something. As a United States Marine, and that guy was a Marine, he's a fucking disgrace to the Eagle, Globe, and Anchor. He's a fucking disgrace. In the United States Marine Corps, we're taught many different ways to subdue an individual. And we know for sure, especially a combat action Marine like myself, knows you don't hold on to anybody for no 15 fucking minutes. 8 seconds is how long you apply pressure to that. 8 seconds is how long you put that chokehold on. That's how long it takes to cut off the air circulation to the brain. That is an air choke. That's an air choke, which are worse than blood chokes. Now, if this guy was mentally ill and this guy was hungry, clearly his body was depleted. And if something wrong with him, his body wasn't operating correct. This white man, just like many white men, took the opportunity to get one. Because we know deep down inside, white men, they love to take their opportunity to get one. And guess what? He got one. And just so long as the ones that got the help by holding this man's hand down, because it always takes more than one white man to take a black man down. They always need a mob. They can't do it by themselves. And let me tell you something about that choke. That's the white man's favorite choke. Because that choke almost guarantees if you can lock it in, no matter how big and strong and scary the Hulk, the big black man is, you can take him down. That's what makes that choke so effective. That's why these white men love, and you can come from behind too. The safety of coming from behind of a person who don't know you coming, and you put them in that choke, and it's game over. It's not even fair. That's what makes that choke so effective. That so-called Marine is a fucking coward. He think he was being a hero. See, white people don't know how to mind their own fucking business. White people don't know how to use force. They go straight for the kill, especially when they get a chance. You think that's the first homeless person that white man ever went past? You think that's the first slightly mentally ill, irate homeless person that guy's ever passed? No, probably wasn't. Especially if he was in New York. In any big city, you see it all the time. I see it all the time. We see these men who like to call themselves men, they're not man enough to use their manly skills to subdue them in a manly and fair way. Didn't want to use the use of force because it'd been risky. You see, he didn't want to confront that guy and do anything different because maybe that guy was too strong for him. Maybe that guy might have knew something. He didn't want to risk it all. He went straight for the death kill. He went straight for the death shot because he wanted to be a hero. He probably joined the Marine Corps because he was bullied in school. A lot of them, white folks do that. And I don't know if he's a combat action Marine. He could have been a Marine working at a freaking desk. There's a lot of Marines who used to work. They have nothing to do with combat, but they'll take all the credit for people like me do. They will. They'll walk around and act like they was Billy Badass. And he might have been one. I don't know. He might have been. No, I'm almost willing to say he wasn't a combat Marine. See, a combat Marine who'd been through war would have respect life and would have did something different, because he'd have been seared in the blood of war. So he would have known what to do. Something else, something less lethal. There's so many ways you can stop a guy from being irate. No, he chose death because that's what they want to do. That's what they've been doing. If that's what they've always done. And people are going to act surprised. I'm not surprised. This is every day. This is every day. Do you know there's people who go out at night and they go looking for those same type of mentally ill homeless people and they kill them. They stab them up. Y'all don't care about that. Mentally ill people get killed every day. Black, white, Asian, everybody. Nobody cares about these people. So stop faking like you care about these people. All these people are going to ready to jump on, make videos and go live. They're going to talk for 15, 16 hours and act like they know the full story when we only know just a tidbit. We only see the clip. What about the person holding the camera? Did he hold that camera for 15 minutes? Did he hold that for 15 minutes? What about the people on the bus? I mean, on the train. How many people were actually on that train? That, because apparently, this hero, this Marine, this hero had to do this to save how many lives? Because all I saw was 3 white men. Where were the rest? Huh? Were there any other black people on the train? Did they give a fuck? Did anybody on that train say, you know what, you're doing too much? You know what I would have did if I was there? And I noticed he was always stomped on that Marine's fucking head. That's what I would have did. And I would have took over. Because I would have thought about the man's life. That's what I was stomped on his head. If any self-respecting so-called person who cares would have stomped on that black person, on that white dude's fucking head and kicked the shit out of them 2 other white people to protect that black man from certain death. But ain't nobody do that because everybody on that train was cowards and observers. Nobody freaking cares. So stop pretending like you care. Y'all don't care. Nobody cares. He's just another story to you guys. He's just another way for politicians to hype up black people, to gaslight black people, to get black people amped up and riled up about some shit that happens every day off camera. To get hyped up about some shit that happens every day to not just black people, but to white homeless people, Asian homeless people, Indian homeless people. Happens all the time, everywhere in the United States of America. But this one got captured on camera. And just so happened, optically, is 3 white men and 1 former U.S. Marine who finally got one. And despite what he may say on any public, forum, or how he disappears back in his colony of whiteness, right? He'll go back into his colony of white people where he's protected amongst his people, where they'll be giving him a good hoorah and they'll be buying him beers and shit in the bar and everything because he got one. And no matter what he says to the public, when he gets back in those back rooms with his white friends, he gonna be salivating that he's a hero, that he got one. And the other side, the racist white side, whether it be Democrat or Republican, they're gonna be championing him as a United States Marine Corps hero, just like they do all the other ones that finally got one on camera. So yeah, I'm not with the fake outrage. I'm sad for the brother. I wish people would have actually cared about him before he got to the point where he was screaming that he was hungry and got killed by some cowardly ass white people that finally, they tasted it, like Tucker Carlson said, that he could taste it. He could taste it. They can taste it. White men can taste it when they get the opportunity to kill a black man. And there's no morality in it. They don't care how they get to do it, as long as they get to do it. So, yeah, spare me with all the fake outrage. That's all I got to say. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.